Hello, and welcome to Grooming from the Inside Out. I'm Greg Tilford. We've all seen it, especially those in the groomer community like you. A client walks in, they have a dog that has a dull, flaky, dry, itchy coat and skin, and they expect miracles from a grooming visit and a shampoo that you cannot deliver with just those tools. Perhaps you'll be able to relieve the itching temporarily, but shortly thereafter, the problems just come right back. What can we do? You care about the animals, you care about the service you provide, you care about the health of the animals that come into your grooming salon. What can you do? Well, here's the first point that I want to get across to you. You, the groomer, are often the first third-party professional to identify and address the skin and coat issues of your client's pets. Oftentimes, they will come to you way before they get to a veterinarian to address chronic skin issues. Point number 2 is you need to know that chronic skin and coat issues are never skin deep. That's why so many animals that you see come into your grooming salons that have skin issues, they seem to be better when they walk out of your salon. They're relieved. The symptoms might be down. The inflammation on their skin might be relieved. They're not itching as much. They look great. But in a couple weeks, they look the same. They come right back to where they were before, dull, itchy skin, and all kinds of skin and coat issues. Some of the common manifestations of chronic skin disease in dogs, and I call these manifestations because these are symptoms of underlying disorders. They're not skin deep problems. They start from an imbalance inside of the body. What you see most commonly is obviously just dry, flaky skin, a common symptom of allergies, mange, seborrhea, and other skin diseases, quite a long list actually. But it's most commonly a byproduct of an inappropriate diet. Flaky, dry skin can be treated with medicated shampoos, sprays, or rinses, but the underlying causes will likely continue to progress unless addressed, and this is usually through improvements of diet, improvements of protein quality and digestibility of the food being fed. Another one you see is folliculitis, infections that cause sores, bumps, and scabs on the skin. Oftentimes you see these symptoms in short-haired dogs, but often it goes unseen until you shave, and you see that it is present in long-haired dogs, and the most obvious outward symptom before that shave might be a dull coat, excessive shedding, and dandruff. Now, while conventional treatments such as oral antibiotics, antibacterial ointments, and shampoos may bring instant relief, these interventions won't address underlying imbalances, and the problem will persist. Allergic dermatitis can be caused by virtually anything. Environmental toxins, irritants, pollen, insect bites such as fleas, and food allergies are at the top of the list. Consider the dog that takes a walk in the park every day and walks through a grass that is treated with herbicides and various other chemicals. They have their face in it, they're licking it off their paws. It's a chronic allergic problem. Oftentimes, though, this allergic dermatitis, again, is caused by food allergies. It can manifest anywhere on the body. The imbalances caused by food imbalances or deficiencies are far-reaching and can only be addressed from the inside out. Even flea bite dermatitis, from my perspective, are not caused by the bites themselves, but by the body's reaction to flea saliva. And we'll talk more about fleas later in this presentation. Another point, all chronic skin and coat issues are, in fact, influenced, if not caused, by nutrition. So think along the lines of offering good quality foods. If you're thinking about picking up some retail in your grooming salon, start with good quality foods that are touted to help support skin conditions. But more so, make sure that the foods that your clients are feeding are biologically appropriate for dogs and cats. These are carnivores. Point number 4. As an animal ages, the need for supplemental support will likely increase. It's just like all of us. Certain systems break down, the possibility of creating imbalances in the body with digestion, lack of enzyme production, all of these things happen as the body ages, and we need more support. So do our dogs, so do our cats. So let's talk a little bit about animal nutrition for a minute before we move on. Some truth about animal nutrition. Dogs and cats and other carnivores require foods that are biologically appropriate for them, not just appealing for us. And the reason I bring this up is because most of the marketing that occurs, at least at the big box level, for commercial foods is focused on selling pet food to humans, not necessarily about distributing the right distribution to an audience of carnivores. That's why we see legumes as a protein booster. We see all these different ingredients that look appealing to us, but might not be appropriate at all for them. Dogs and cats are carnivores. Cats are obligate carnivores. They require good quality meat in a form that is acceptable and digestible to them. Legume protein and vegetable proteins don't work so well because their bodies lack the ability to produce the enzymes to digest, break down, and assimilate those kind of food ingredients appropriately. And what happens when that happens? When we end up with foods that can't be appropriately digested and assimilated, we end up with excess waste in the system that manifests as food allergies. Animals need diversity in their diets just like we do. If you feed a dog or a cat the same kibble, the same type of meat all of its life, it will eventually develop some sort of resistance to that food. The body will say, hey, I've had enough. I'm going to reject it as something else. And now you've got another food allergy issue. Do you remember way back when all of the dog kibble was beef-based and then it went to lamb? That's because so many animals developed an allergy, so many dogs developed an allergy to beef. So we went to lamb and we burned that out too. They developed allergies to lamb. Now we've got turkey and chicken and everything else. I highly recommend that you recommend to your clients that they change up the pet food. Get a different meat source every time they buy a bag, a can, or a raw diet. Change it up. Commercial pet foods are designed to address the average needs of dogs and cats. However, no two individuals are alike. Therefore, we have to feed different foods to meet the needs of that specific individual. And the needs will change every day. There's no such thing as static nutrition. While a commercial maintenance diet may serve as a basis of nutrition for millions of animals, it cannot address the exact needs of every individual. Every individual is different metabolic needs. Some do better on chicken, some do better on beef, some can't tolerate grains at all, some do okay with a few grains in their diet. It needs to be fine-tuned by the pet owner to the individual, not just the species, not just the breed. So high-quality natural diet is really critical to skin health. It's like the basis of everything, because unless the body has the tools, the fuels, and the correct mechanisms to maintain healthy skin, it simply can't. Not only can it not do that job, but it will build up excesses, like I mentioned earlier, of various toxins that can wreak havoc throughout the body, not just with skin conditions, but later on arthritis or perhaps even cancer. Now let's talk a minute about fleas and what I said about fleas earlier. Fleas are ectoparasites, as we know. They live 80% of the time off of the host in the environment. How many of you have noticed that some of your clients will have multiple dogs living in the same house and only one or two of them is completely made miserable, ravished by fleas, and the others seem unaffected? That's because the issue of fleas is relative to a weakened host, first of all. If the immunity of the skin resistance of the animal is diminished or incapable of resisting fleas, the fleas will flock to that animal. They know a weakened host. They know an easy meal, just like any other parasite. The other thing to consider about fleas is that when they bite, it's not them that's really causing, it's them, but it's the reaction to their saliva. Some animals get bit, they don't even raise a welt. You'll never even know they got bit. Chances are you won't see many fleas on these animals at all, but flea bites don't bother them because their immune system and their inflammatory response to the allergens contained in flea saliva, the proteins, are mitigated by the immune system. The inflammatory response is appropriate, and it doesn't go wreak havoc with too much inflammation. Why? Because the body's in balance with the correct nutritional components. The first thing to consider in these dogs, and I mark my word here, cats too, about 40 to 50% of the animals that have never received a fatty acid supplement will show almost immediate relief within days from things like chronic flea allergies and skin conditions. Here's why. Essential fatty acids are critical, essential in building and maintaining a healthy cardiovascular system, eyes, skin, and joints. They're essential at regulating inflammation. If the right mix, if your animal isn't getting the right mix of omega-3 and 6 fatty acids, then the body's ability to appropriately respond to an inflammatory response to an antigen is totally out of whack. It won't work. Omega-3 fatty acids inhibit inflammation. Omega-6 fatty acids trigger inflammation. Now, on the surface, you might think, well, then we just need to get rid of all omega-6s, right? No, it's not that simple. The body needs the counterbalances. Inflammation is important. Inflammation triggers immune responses to invading bodies in the body. It triggers greater circulation in injured areas. It has purpose. It needs to be there. It needs to be balanced. So both have to be there, but animals need more omega-3s than 6s. We all do. The problem is that many of the foods we feed and we eat ourselves are very rich in omega-6 fatty acids, the inflammation triggering component, and very depleted or absent of omega-3s. So everything's out of balance. Inflammation will run rampant. There are no checks. There is no inhibitor to stop it from happening when something like a flea allergy occurs. Where do these things come from? Omega-3s, 9s, arachidonic acid and such are best derived from marine lipids, meaning marine fats. Fish and krill oils, phytoplankton, red meat and poultry, eggs, flax, etc. Now flax, let me run back to flax. Flax, chia, borage, black seeds, and hemp seed oil are plant sources, and plant sources are incomplete sources of omega-3s. The reason is, or omega-3s and 6s, the reason is because animals require a certain enzyme, a D6D enzyme, which we have too, but we don't produce enough of. This enzyme, the body's capacity to produce these enzymes is greatly reduced by stress, environmental influences, diet, etc. Virtually no mammal on Earth can produce enough of them anymore to really fill out the metabolic process required to make the conversions of the omega-3s in plant sources into a complete omega-3. A conversion of linoleic acid has to occur to convert it into gamma-linoleic acid for that omega-3 to be complete. In the case of fish oils and marine lipids, on the other hand, the GLA, the gamma, is already there. There's no conversion required by the body, so it goes right to work as a complete omega-3 fatty acid. So the omega-3 supplements that you need to feed to animals and offer to your clients should be marine lipid-based, good quality, clean fish oils. Omega-6 are contained in vegetable oils, canola, corn, safflower, sunflower, and olive oil. And unfortunately, you are what you eat. So a lot of the meats, what you would think would be rich in omega-3s that animals are fed, are not, because that feedlot animal that was killed to produce the food lived perhaps on grains and foods that were depleted or absent of omega-3s. Therefore, they don't contain much either. The meats are very depleted in omega-6 unless they're grass-fed. So it really needs to be supplemented just to be sure that it's going into the body. You need to supplement omega fatty acids, omega-3 and 6, with a good quality fish oil. Why? Because many prepared diets are deficient for reasons I just described. Animals that are deficient are at risk of developing serious forms of disease and are more prone to allergy. Inflammatory diseases, folks. I mean, we're not just talking about skin allergies. If there's too much omega-6 in the diet, not enough omega-3s, inflammation can run rampant and cause problems with arthritis, swollen joints, cardiac and cardiovascular issues, virtually anything can be affected by inflammation. So it's very important to supplement omega-3 fatty acids. And like I said, marine soils are the best source. Oils oxidize, however. They become rancid and lose potency of the EFAs they contain, the essential fatty acids they contain. They don't necessarily become toxic. They just lose their viability of providing omega-3s. So it's really difficult, if not impossible, to determine how much remains after kibble, canned, or home-prepared food is exposed to air. Therefore, again, you need to add it to the food at every feeding. Marine oils should be refrigerated after opening and must be used within a month or two of purchase. So I recommend that you offer and that your clients buy the smallest container that will last them for about a month, maybe a month's supply, as they can. If they buy a big bargain jug of it, then the clock is ticking and the omega-3 viability might be kind of out the window by the time they get to the bottom of the container. So encourage smaller sized containers of fish oil when you start selling fish oil. Digestive aids are also a good idea. Supplements that optimize digestion enhance the body's ability to absorb, utilize, and eliminate the byproducts of even good food. You know, when we talk about nutrition, we often miss the boat when we talk about waste elimination. It's not even discussed. The truth is that even the best foods, after they are digested and metabolized and the body utilizes what it can from those foods, it has to eliminate the waste. And if that waste cannot be eliminated and, for instance, stays floating around in the body system and the blood system for too long, it's going to cause problems like arthritis again and skin problems and various other issues if the body cannot effectively eliminate those waste products. So what we're talking about now is supporting the microbiome, the gut bacteria, thousands and thousands of microbes that live inside the gut of every animal on Earth. And we're talking about beneficial bacteria and some pathogenic bacteria, yin and yang, I guess. They create balances. They create reactions between one another to keep the community, the microbiome, healthy. There's viruses in there. There's fungi in there. There's all kinds of things crawling around in the gut where 70% or more of the body's immune system is produced as a result. A lot of people don't know that. So what we're talking about with diet and digestive aids is supporting the microbiome inside the animal's body. We can start with probiotics. While there's thousands of different probiotic bacteria, different strains, different types inside of an animal's body, the addition of a few more can often assist in their job of keeping the rest of the microflora healthy. What probiotics are live bacteria that work in support of that gut microbiome. They serve to break down food, maintain health of resident microflora, keep pathogenic bacteria and parasites in check, and protect mucosa throughout the intestinal tract. Probiotic bacteria produce various enzymes as they are digested. Examples. My favorite is Bacillus coagulans, but there's several others. There's Bifidobacterium, there's Lactobacillus, there's Acidophilus. I like Bacillus coagulans as a probiotic, it's only one, of course, but I like it because it can survive a very broad range of pH and it's very shelf stable. The reason being is that in the jar, it's still in what's called a spore form. It hasn't hatched. It's still asleep. It won't wake up and start doing its job until it gets wet or it comes in contact with digestive juices. So it's more viable. It will get deeper into the gut without getting burned up by all the hydrochloric acid in the gut. It's just a good, viable probiotic strain for animals. How do you feed these things? Really simple. Sprinkle onto the food at each meal per the manufacturer's directions. Pennies per day, really. The other thing to consider are digestive enzymes. This is a supplement that will turn a non-believer into a believer really quickly because you can see results very quickly when you start feeding digestive enzymes. What are they? They're special protein molecules that catalyze the breakdown of various food materials into forms that the body can readily utilize. Enzymes will help with the transport of nutrients across blood barriers and also support healthy waste elimination. Basically what these are, by using digestive enzymes, you're taking the burden off of a lot of the microbes, the microbiome, a lot of the probiotics that are already in the body, because what they're doing is they're digesting foods, and as they digest food materials, they're creating enzymes to improve the transport of those food materials. So all of these digestive enzymes that are commercially available, and I'm going to describe, are generally grown using a bacteria on a vegetable substrate. And so basically, it's just cutting to the chase. It's doing some of the work of the microbiome for the microbiome in advance. So the results can be very dramatic. Types of digestive enzymes: protease breaks down proteins, amylase, alpha and beta, helps process carbohydrates. Very important in carnivores because they cannot produce those enzymes in order to break down carbohydrates, the grains, the vegetable structures that are in many types of dog food. They really need these enzymes from outside of the body in order to effectively digest those kind of materials. Cellulase is even more important. It breaks down cellulose, the cell structures of plants. The barriers that separate the nutritional values of plant materials from nature. The skins, so to speak, of each cell is a cellulose barrier in a plant that needs to be broken. And unless cellulase and the correct enzymes are present, it's going to be very difficult for a carnivore body to break those down. Lipase helps digest fats. The benefits: improved digestion, better utilization of food, less shedding, improved coat health, less flatulence, less offensive stool, better formed stool, fresher breath and cleaner teeth, increased energy, and it supports immune health. Plant enzymes support the pancreas too, especially as an animal gets older and the pancreas is perhaps unable to produce all of the digestive enzymes that are required to break down fats and meats. We can take a lot of pressure off the pancreas by feeding digestive enzymes. Herbal tonics can be very effective and useful too for improving the skin health of animals. Let me talk for a few minutes on those. These are for internal use, I recommend. One of my favorites is burdock root. Burdock root provides gentle stimulation to the liver. It's been used for thousands of years as a specific remedy for various skin maladies in people and animals. Eczema, seborrhea, psoriasis, all kinds of things. It's very safe to use. I love this because you can go to a health food store and buy fresh burdock root, called gobo, oftentimes. You can grate it in any abundance you want right onto a dog or a cat's food, providing they're willing to eat it, to find benefit. It's very safe and easy to feed. It's also antioxidant, helps protect the liver against various toxins. Dandelion root and leaf is another favorite of mine. It's diuretic, it's nutritive, really broad spectrum vitamins and minerals, vitamin B12 even, proteins, and it serves as a safe and reliable liver stimulant as well, gently stimulating the liver into working more effectively toward producing its own enzymes and digestive chemicals to improve the digestion process and also to stimulate its activities in the filtering of waste from the bloodstream. Very important. Red clover is also a mild liver stimulant, antioxidant, and immune supportive herb that's been used in a broad variety of skin remedies for centuries. It also contains a broad spectrum of vitamins and minerals, including vitamin K, which helps maintain proper blood structure. Very important to keeping the body system clean of waste. Milk thistle, probably the most popular animal herb in commerce. Silybum marianum. It protects and supports liver against various toxins and stimulates reproduction of healthy liver cells. Really important, especially if you've got chronic skin problems that you think are secondary or might be secondary to the presence of toxins that are going in there all the time and really encumbering the liver in its giant job of filtering out waste and producing chemicals to remove and materials and also improve digestion. Alfalfa, good old alfalfa, stuff we feed to cows and horses. It's an immune system stimulant, modulator, and adaptogen that helps strengthen kidney function to improve the removal of waste. An adaptogen is that which improves the responsiveness of the body's immune responses. It improves the body's ability to respond appropriately. Licorice root, one of my favorite herbs, offers immune support, liver support, and has very remarkable anti-inflammatory properties, which will help mitigate a lot of the inflammation that you see on the skin in a symptomatic fashion. So all of these herbs combined can be used as a singular tonic or individually to help with the removal of waste and to improve skin conditions. Topical herb remedies are important too. They can be used especially with really good success at knocking down the symptoms, while the systemic approach, the deeper approach, is in order, in effect. Aloe vera juice, for instance. We all know aloe vera juice probably. It speeds healing, it's antimicrobial, and relieves the itch, especially of wet lesions. I don't like using it on dry skin though, because it's astringent and it tightens tissue, which often will create its own itchiness and discomfort to dogs or cats that are already chewing. So while it heals and it's healthy, it's not appropriate for every individual all the time. Maybe calendula might be a better alternative in those animals. It dramatically speeds healing too. It contains a constituent called allantoin that stimulates cell reproduction at wounds, granuloma. It helps accelerate the speeding of wounds, bites, lesions on the skin very quickly. It's antimicrobial and soothing to the skin. And I like using in various combinations and various formulas essential oils to be used as a minor component. You never use these things straight. They're very, very potent. Never use them in more than a 2% solution of a topical preparation. You can add them to a little bit of oil. You can add them to your shampoos, but just in a very small amount. Tea tree oil, strongly antibacterial, and will help knock down the symptoms of things like folliculitis very quickly, while the internal considerations, the improvement in diet and the liver supports and the digestive enzymes I suggested earlier at work. You can bring a lot of relief with things like tea tree oil at knocking down the external infection. Lavender oil stimulates blood circulation under the skin, very important, because in order to cleanse tissue and remove waste and help clear up infection, there needs to be blood circulation underneath the skin. There needs to be peripheral circulation. Lavender oil works amazingly at improving circulation beneath the skin, peripheral circulation. And it also helps reduce pain and itching as well. Carrot seed oil is one I put in my formulas too. It's antioxidant. It's touted in the human realm as an anti-aging ingredient because of its antioxidant activities upon the skin, but it's also a broad spectrum antimicrobial and especially antifungal. A lot of these issues that we see on the skin and in the skin of animals is related to, there's usually, in many cases, a fungal influence. Fungi are much like parasites. They're opportunistic. They prey upon a weakened host. If the skin is weak, if the immune system is not prepared to effectively deal with the presence of fungi and instead just launches an inappropriate inflammatory response, then fungi can be very difficult to get rid of. Peppermint tea, as easy to reach as your kitchen cabinet. A cooled rinse of the strong infusion will bring soothing, cooling relief from the itching. This is Katie Bell you see in the picture here. She's getting what's called a fomentation, where a cooled tea is being poured over a clean towel that's been tied onto her body to keep that liquid present on the skin for a longer period of time. Very effective at bringing down hot, irritated skin into a more comfortable state. And of course, the famous oatmeal soak. You've probably heard about this. It's immediately soothing and has lasting results if done correctly. Now, the best way to give a soak is to literally completely rinse a dog or a cat or an animal in a fairly significant solution of oatmeal. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take like a cup of finely ground oats and you're going to add it to maybe 5 gallons of water, warm water, let it infuse and then strain it off and rinse the dog with it. Let it dry on the coat before proceeding. It works wonders. And you can recommend this to your customers because, of course, you don't want them walking out looking like they're all dusty with oatmeal, but really this is the most effective way to use oatmeal. There's lots of preparations out there that have oatmeal in them. They work okay too, but if you want to see really good results, do it yourself and don't be shy with the oats. It works really, really well. We're out of time, and there's so much more I really want to teach you and tell you about treating the skin holistically. There, just isn't enough time in 30 minutes to make that happen. So I invite you, please join me for future webinars. Your comments and questions are also welcomed. You can reach me at the email at the right side of this slide. Your comments and questions are welcome and will be addressed as soon as possible. Also, be sure to check out my podcast, Your Vital Pet. It's on Spotify, and you can also find it by searching your favorite podcast channel. I hope that you found this useful. I look forward to the feedback, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Get out there and start loving those dogs and those cats, and, bring in a few products. Bring them into your grooming salon. Offer another level of intervention, of relief, and of a shiny, beautiful coat to your clients. They will appreciate it. They will trust you for it. They will come back for more. I believe that. I've seen it. Trust me. Thank you again. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Bye-bye for now.